Hey, what's up, everyone? Good morning. Yeah, we're back on the Purussaurus model this morning. I am just in the middle of figuring out, or starting to figure out, what I'm going to do about these kind of ridges here on the arm. So I've been spending just a few minutes before stream kind of tweaking, kind of brainstorming a little bit about what I'm going to do about this area. So yeah, I'm going to focus on this today, this part here, just because I think it's another really important area of detail that I want to achieve. And I think it's one of the more difficult areas, just kind of like the back itself was. And I want to make sure I get all this in here. So probably better to tackle it sooner than later. I think I'll be much more, I guess, relaxed about this whole part of the mesh once I get this going. So we'll just tackle it. Stop what's the word? Procrastinating about it and get it going. Hey, Sharky. Jeremy. Hi, how's it going? Is this game out yet? No, we are still working on it. I think we have tech demos and stuff like that out that people can play. But as far as full release, no. These things take a lot of time, so we are making steady progress towards release. I hope you are excited for the game. So let's see. I'm going to try a few things. I hope they work out. They might not, but we'll see. Sharky, how's your week been? I saw your models. I think they look really cool. I hope the bit of advice, I suppose, helped. I personally haven't played a Dinosaur Center game in ages. Yeah, the same here. I haven't either. Be interesting to play a game that I worked on, so I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I haven't played anything dinosaur centric in a long time. Thanks, Sharky. I hope so. The UV stuff that we were talking about is kind of confusing. So if you need any other pointers, let me know. We'll do some UV stuff in here too. Yeah, baking is um it can be a pain. It's kind of weird. Like sometimes it goes really smoothly and sometimes it's just like everything that can go wrong will go wrong. So um it kind of just depends. It seems like it's almost like the computer or like the programs have their own little temperament that you got to deal with. And you never know when something's going to go your way or not. I do my best to like over the years I've tried to develop like certain ways of working that try to eliminate problems like that, but inevitably some of them still happen. So we'll probably have some issues with this too. That you'll get to see me troubleshoot on stream. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm hoping there's not too many. Yeah, as far as the dino-centric games go, I have a friend and I have talked a lot about those types of games and kind of where they, like why we stopped playing them. And I think ultimately it's just repetition, like a lot of repetition. For us, at least. Like big expansive maps that kind of have no real like points of interest in them or like things to do, and the combat is a big deal too. Tends to be pretty much the same everywhere, kind of. It's just like a lot of circling around a target and then like biting, and like maybe you'll get a bite in and maybe not, and it's just kind of like this game of chance of whether you're actually doing damage or not. You can't really tell. So I don't know. I think a game needs to come along that addresses all of that, and hopefully this game does that. I think it has a lot of potential to change things up. I already see lots of things in this game that were kind of promised by others that are already in, so I'm really happy about that. That's the charm of 3D. You always run into issues. Yeah. That is part of the whole thing. Lots of steps, lots of prep. The more steps you have in a process, the more chances there are something will go wrong. But just have to stay adaptable and take each problem in little bite-sized chunks, and eventually you get through it. The point where it becomes like super frustrating is just when you have deadlines and stuff, because that can get really stressful when you're kind of on a timer, right? And then something you didn't expect goes wrong with the mesh, like when you have like only a few hours or maybe like a day to like figure it out and get your model done. That can be pretty stressful. It's happened to me one time where like it was down to the wire sort of thing. Just this model that I was working on for this job was like pretty much everything that could have gone wrong did. And I was like, for the life of me couldn't figure out why, with all the planning and stuff that I had done for it, it was kind of like, it was really frustrating. But fortunately, I got through it, and the client was happy with the result. And I don't really have to work for that project anymore. So, I'm sad to say, but I'm kind of happy about that. You gotta actually look forward to what you're working on, at least a bit. Not every project can be like your favorite thing, but there is a aspect of that where you'd be able to motivate yourself to work on stuff. And if the project's not fun, it gets harder and harder to do that. I have a bit of reference up here on my monitor, the other monitor, that I'm looking at of some kind of crocodile model. Just trying to see how they did theirs, but their little fin parts there aren't as exaggerated as mine are. They're smaller. So I don't know how much help that ref is going to be. Kind of gives me a bit of an idea though of how I can manage. I do need a bit more edge loops in here though. Just move these points around. See if this will actually behave itself. It keeps on trying to project to the opposite face, which is annoying. There we go. But once we get the general shape locked in, I think it'll be okay. How many more do we got? We got 3 more. 3 more in here. So I can make this like be the center of this one. And then maybe I gotta establish a bit of a pattern here. So I'm using these as centers for the like the scoot. So maybe if I keep that pattern going, we might need to introduce some more edge loops, and then maybe if I have to, I can collapse them into one. That's kind of what they do on this mesh that I'm looking at here. Is they have like the edge loops concentrated here, and then they collapse them into single runs. So I can try doing that. Okay. Something like that is good for that. And then I'm basically going to, I think I like this solution. I think it gives me a decent amount of it captures the shape of that scale decently. So I'm just gonna like use that as a bit of a template, and I'll do the rest of them that way. Try and keep the same amount of edges and like polys for like the next, what's this, 1, 2, 3, for the next couple. These ones feel okay. This one needs a bit more. It's too low. Probably do an inset here. I don't know if y'all like art books at all. So yesterday I have some family in town, and yesterday we went to a really cool bookstore. It's got a lot of I think the owners are Japanese, so they have a lot of Japanese imported like versions of books that are pretty hard to find actually. Lots of cool stuff like of course they have lots of manga. They have comic books. They have a cool selection of sketchbooks and like stationery stuff, which I never thought I would be like interested in, but I mean sketchbooks, yeah, for sure, but like they have really cool like notebooks and lots of really nice pens and stuff like that. And then they also have a really cool selection of art books from various video games. Lots of Final Fantasy. Lots of like, I guess, JRPGs, stuff like that. But I was able to find a couple of art books for Elden Ring, and then Bloodborne. So I picked up a couple of those. Elden Ring has like 4 different volumes of art books. I only got one. So I do want to get the other 3. But they're really cool art books. I really enjoyed running through those yesterday. I think I'm gonna be looking at them a lot more. I have a project in mind. I'm not sure if how soon I'm gonna be able to get to it, but I have an idea for a character concept that I'd like to do. That's kind of in the same. I would like to make some sort of Dark Souls-esque character model. I think it would be fun. And something I haven't done. Something darker, something much more like rich in detail. I haven't done a lot of armor. So I think it would be nice to kind of exercise that sort of side of things. So I think that book will be, those couple of books actually will be really good reference. I'm pretty nitpicky about art books. I think art books, depending on like my biggest pet peeve is like when like a video game or a movie will like publish an art book, and then like you go and open up the book and it's just like a bunch of screenshots like from the game or like the movie, and there's very minimal amount of art. It's just a lot of like paragraphs and explanations of stuff and then like screenshots next to them. It's not really like what I'm there for, you know? I think it's kind of a cheap out, or whatever you would call it. It's like it's just an easy way for them to like make a buck, I suppose, without having to like actually show a lot of interesting images. But what's good about the books that I got yesterday is majority of it's just all art. It's one of the reasons why I really enjoy. So there's a few art books that I think do things really well when it comes to like sharing the process and sharing like how much art actually goes into making a project like a video game. The Monster Hunter art books are all really, really good. It's just packed with they're thick books, like, and it's just art from front to back. They have little notes here and there about a lot of my Monster Hunter art books are in Japanese, so I don't really know what they're saying. But it's not a lot of text or filler, you know. It's a lot of art. The art book for Darksiders 1 and 2, I think. I don't have both of them. I have one of them. Is really packed with really cool art. I really like that book. Yeah, I just want to when I get an art book, I just want to see art, you know. You would think it would be kind of obvious, but there's a lot of art books I've gotten that were kind of disappointing. I just started following the game's progress, and I'm so happy you guys decided to add prehistoric animals from my country. Oh, cool. I didn't know. Yeah, that's awesome. It's always good to maybe have representatives of different animals from different regions. Yeah, I'm glad that Purussaurus is represented your country here. Sharky had to make some food. Did I miss something? No, you're good, Sharky. Just moving forward. I was talking about some art books that I purchased yesterday that I thought were kind of cool. And then I got into my tangent about art books that I like and why I like them, but that's all that's happened. I'm going to end a little bit more progress on these areas. I don't know why it's doing this all the time now. The projection is trying to snap to like the faces that are like way on the other side of the mesh. I noticed it starting to happen. Like Blender has always had this issue. So you kind of have to be careful about using the snapping tool up here. But it with the latest update, I don't even think I have the latest update. I have like maybe a version older. I'm not sure. I'd have to check. But whatever, whatever this version is, I seem to have more issues with it snapping to the opposite sides of stuff. I don't know if that's like a known thing or maybe it's just what I'm dealing with, but yeah, I've tried to use Retopo Flow. And it's, I don't know, something about it just didn't click with me. It's been a while since I've used it. So maybe I should try it again. But like a lot of the features that it had seemed really convenient for me at the time, because you can like draw out surfaces, you can like extrude like whole surfaces across things, you can like fill all that stuff. But I kind of realized that I don't really use a lot of those features. I think what Retopo Flow had in mind, or its main use, cases, I guess. Like people, I think they wanted it to be used for like character, like character retopology, and like mainly humanoid stuff. Not that it can't be applied to dinos and things, because it can, but I think a lot of the use cases that they were trying to solve were mainly humanoid character things, and some of that stuff doesn't really work too well for. I kind of just end up reverting to my old ways, So if I'm not utilizing the tool, then I don't really. Is Retopo Flow a paid add-on? I forget. Or is it free? I can't remember. If I did buy it, maybe I can try it out again. I would be open to trying it out again. I also tried, so before, like, I've tried a lot of stuff. Before arriving at my current methods, like I tried Topo Gun, used Topo Gun for a while. I even, so before Topo Gun, I tried retopologizing in ZBrush. And that was interesting. And then I moved over to Topo Gun, which was easier overall it was easier. It was also like early, so like I can't remember which version of Topo Gun I used. But anyway, it was one of the earlier versions of Topo Gun. And then I did some retopology in Maya. And then I started working with Blender and kind of messed around with Retopo Flow. I think there might have been another retopology add-on that I played around with. I can't remember what its name was. And from there, I kind of moved on to how I'm currently doing things. Yeah, I might take a look at it. I don't know if the snapping is any better in there than what it would be here. Because like my primary issue, or I don't know if I want to call it an issue. My primary like thing with retopology is not necessarily like the tools itself, it's like the it's more like the problem solving aspect of it, which whether you use Blender's base tools or whether you use Retopo Flow or whatever tool you decide to use, it doesn't solve that issue. Like those problems are going to exist regardless of the tool that you are using, or that I am using. So it's not necessarily like, how do I make the retopology happen? It's more like stuff like this, right? Like, you know, these these edges that I created need to terminate somewhere. So where do I terminate them? How do I terminate them? How does that affect the overall topology? Like, does it add? Is there what's a better way to? Is there a better way to like make these features, or am I doing it the best way that I can? Like those problems will exist no matter what I'm using. And that's more like the thing with topology for me. It's just problem solving. And that stuff, it's not really dependent on it's not really dependent for me on the tool, because like whether I'm using like I could be using Retopo Flow right now, but I would still have this to solve, you know, and it's not really going to help me. I guess there are some tools that you could use to figure that out, but I don't know. It to each their own, I suppose. It's kind of hard, to be honest. It's kind of hard describing, like, it's very preference based, right? Like, why someone picks certain tools over other tools. Like, why does an artist use Photoshop over Clip Studio Paint? Or why do they use Mudbox over ZBrush? I don't know. I don't really know. I can't really say whether one's better or one's not. It's just what they are comfortable with, I suppose. Like one artist might think the other one, one like program is like very superior or not superior or whatever. Like I don't have as much, like I use ZBrush for sculpting. I haven't used very many. I'm thinking about using Blender for sculpting too, although I haven't gotten to it. But with like stuff like painting, I've used a lot of different painting software. I've used Photoshop, I've used Clip Studio, I've used Krita, I've used Autodesk Sketch, or whatever the heck it's called. Rebel, ArtRage, I think Painter, or Corel Painter. And like what I've found through like using all of that stuff is like most of it can do the job, you know. what it comes down to, I guess, is like very like nuanced stuff of what I would prefer or what I didn't like. Right now, where I am right now with it is like I'm working primarily with two programs. I'm working with Photoshop and Clip Studio Paint. They are both very, very similar, but I prefer painting in Clip Studio because of the way the brushes behave. The brushes have a very nice like oil paint feel. They like mix together very well, like in a very natural, like realistic way that is very similar to what I would get in more traditional painting, which I really, really like. It's something that I would like to incorporate into my paintings, like a nice like blending of color and like mixing of color and stuff is really important. Because I tend to I personally like to have more like painterly sort of things, sort of paintings, instead of like super rendered ones. But the part where Clip Studio Paint kind of is weak is in the like adjustments. Photoshop has the capability to do a lot of final adjustments to images, like exposure, color adjustments, like really fine adjustments to the way the final image looks, sharpening, like different stuff like that. And Clip Studio doesn't really have that sort of stuff. So I end up using, if Clip Studio did have better tools like that, I think I would just use Clip Studio. I think if they ever develop that sort of thing, I think I'm pretty much going to abandon Photoshop, because it's become kind of annoying, to be honest. Like you have to pay the subscription fee. Which is kind of expensive monthly, right? I hope Blender kind of doesn't do that. They've been free for a long time, so I hope they're able to stay that way. I think the more and more people use something, though, the more I think developers are tempted to like cash in. So I hope that doesn't happen, but who knows? So we got a good chunk of this represented. Like I said, we have a lot of resolution, like resolving, to do around here. So we can start in on doing some of that. I think I need to cut some more loops. What is the best way to do this? Probably... If I cut a loop and I slide it approximately where it needs to go, and then this will go here. This will go here. And we attach the back ones. And then I think what I'm going to do is maybe mimic some of my reference. They have triangles that like they're basically doing this like this sort of thing. Like that. They're doing that kind of thing. I don't know if I really like that though. I try to avoid triangles. What I could do is just carry these across like this, and then would wrap around the whole thing. I think I need to, this one needs to be better. Sharky, my friend uses Topo Gun, but I don't know if it's good. Yeah, it's been a while since I used Topo Gun too. Like all of these stuff, all of the retopology tools are super tempting, I think. Like when you look at them and they're like, the way they're marketed to artists, they seem super convenient. So, yeah, I don't know. I try and keep an open mind. I might try some. You mentioning Retopo Flow kind of has me curious now as to if it could be, if I could use it better at this point. Because I do, like when I was using Retopo Flow, it was kind of early, like it was early for them. So their tools were a little bit like, they worked, but they're a little bit kind of janky. Some things were kind of janky and a little bit buggy. But it's been around for a while now, so it's probably much better. And the same thing with Topo Gun. Topo Gun was a little bit janky. Where is this? How come it's not snapping? There you go. So yeah, I can check it out. If I think I did buy a license for Retopo Flow, so maybe, I don't know, maybe they will allow me to upgrade for free. That would be nice. But I don't think Retopo Flow was like super expensive anyway. So Artorias, cool name. Big Swamp Pumpy. Yeah, he's a big. I'll show you the full. This is where we are right now. So during the stream, the last couple of weeks, we've been working on all of this stuff. Looks kind of crazy looking at it now. So I've been working on all of that stuff. I don't know why there's a... I cut this here. There we go. It's so majestic. Thank you. If you want to see, so that's the low poly. This is the high poly. He's toothless now. But he does have teeth. I wonder, did I moved him down here. Top teeth. Did I have the bottom teeth? There we are. So that's how he looks. That's all the detail that we'll need to get popped back onto the low poly. The scales look like fractals. Yeah, it looks kind of crazy from that vantage point, right? I don't know why I have those old versions in there. Yeah, that's a lot of stuff. That's one of the biggest challenges of doing crocodiles, I think, is this whole thing. Especially if you're doing a trying to do a nice retopologized version of it, a low poly. Artorius, thank you. I think I like going down the center of these. Okay. Sharky, I have an off-topic question. When you were doing models for Beasts of the Mesozoic, or did you sculpt for the joints for the toys as well? Yeah. So it depends on the model. So I did the joints for a lot of the later Ceratopsian series. So like the Triceratops, the big Triceratops, and the I don't know what he called it, the subadult one. And then there were that Triceratops body was used for some of the other Ceratopsians. I forget. Excuse me. I forget which ones. And then I did a lot of it. The majority of the T-Rex, the Tyrannosaur series, was articulated by me. And then usually if it's my model, like if I'm the one sculpting, I'll take care of that part myself. Same with like the other artists. Like if they're sculpting something, it depends on who they are. I mean, if they're familiar with it or not, but they'll do their own part separation and like the joints and stuff. But like usually if I'm the one who sculpted it, I'm the one who's doing the articulation stuff as well. Like I did it for the Dilophosaurus, the Cryolophosaurus, Allosaurus, although I didn't sculpt that one. I didn't sculpt the Allo, but I did the articulation on that one. What else? It'll say, like, I don't know if you have any of those figures, but like if you look at the box, it'll say who did what on it. David is pretty good at making sure people get the credit of like what they did. I'm working on a new model right now. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do he does have a person currently that I think is like dedicated to doing that stuff, like the articulation. So maybe I might be passing off this model to them. I don't know. That would be like a first time for that though. But I don't know what he would prefer. It's all dependent on what he would like to do. You're thinking about experimenting with some figures? That's cool. Yeah, yeah, I would suggest, well, it depends on, of course your budget and stuff like that, but like, if you're interested in making figure joints, definitely grabbing some sort of figure that has the like level of articulation that you're trying to get for reference would be really good. Personally, I'm a fan of, like, there's a few brands I'm a fan of. Rival Tech is really cool. I like Bandai, Tamashii Nations. I mean, I have a ton of them behind me, as you can see. If you're able to pick up some, I don't know if you're trying to do like a dinosaur, or maybe you're trying to do something else. But Beasts of the Mesozoic, of course. There's a few good ones. Hiya Toys. I mean, some of the Jurassic Park stuff might be good to look at too. Like maybe some of the Hammond collection stuff. Yeah, with toy articulation, I mean, really, it's just all about tolerances. Like how thick the part is. Does it intersect with any, like how it's intersecting with the parts adjacent to it? You have to make sure that it's not like cutting into things. A lot of it is like, I don't know. I feel like you could probably work it out. You know, it's basically like all of toy joints just consist of variations on ball and socket stuff. Like you have a ball and you have like a, I guess you would call it like a peg, and the way those two elements interact in various joints, it's just variations. It's not, and then, you know, as long as you're accounting for the motion that you want and there's no intersection, it's pretty, I think it's pretty straightforward. But if you are interested, and you have any questions, I'd be happy to help you with that. Probably just a simplification of real life truths. Yeah, most of the time it is, yeah. There is some like special cases depending on, it's really dependent on the thing you're doing. Like for example, let me go to ArtStation really quick. Yeah, let's see. How do I, there we go. Like most of these are, like with the dinosaurs, it's pretty easy because you're just following their anatomy, right? But like with this guy was kind of a problem because we had this chest area. These spikes come off, and you can switch the position of the spikes. I think there's two versions of the model. There's one where this comes off, this stays on the shoulder, and there's another one where it goes on the back, like you can see right here. See that? So this piece is like part of the articulation. Well, it's part of the considerations for the functionality of the toy, but it's not necessarily associated with the anatomy. Like this has kind of nothing to do with the anatomy. Like it's not a joint, and it's not like it's not really to do with the motion. It's more to do with like a special feature of the guy. So it would depend on what you're doing. Like this guy too, like the neck has a special like joint in there. Like I don't think I have any of the images, but like this fin, so his neck can move upward, up and down, but this fin, this like spike needs to slot into this fin here. So we had to come up with a special like rotation mechanism that allows it to go in there, and it doesn't disrupt the motion. So there's stuff like that. Those are more complicated things. I would say, like, if you're doing just the dinosaur, the majority of the time you're not really going to run into that stuff. It's just going to be like, you know, this joint is the elbow, and you could just follow the anatomy with that. I think I need to bridge these. See how that works. Thanks, Sharky. Yeah, that dragon is probably by far the most complicated model I've done. There are, I can't remember how many parts there are. There's a lot of parts. What the heck is going on? Why aren't you cutting? Hmm. A combination of both, Sharky. Depending on, honestly, it's just depending on how I was feeling about it. If it's more organic, like in the jaws, then it's a lot of booleans. If it's like more like, if it's literally like a ball and socket joint, then I would do like either or. Like, it just really depended on how I was feeling about it, honestly. Like sometimes I would feel like, oh, I can just do this in Blender, and I would just go to Blender and like block out a joint and then work it out that way. Or if I just didn't really want to deal with it, then I would just do everything in ZBrush and just use booleans. So it's not really like super consistent. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, excited to see what you have in mind for your figure. I always like to see people do their like custom figures. Okay. Just making a few other cuts here. I think that's fine. There's something weird going on here where it won't let me. Oh, there it goes. I don't know why it was doing that. I think, what is going on here? Maybe it needs to be like on a more even surface, and then it'll register. What's this? Maybe it's proximity based. I don't know. Okay. So I think that is my solution for that area for now. Why? Let's see if I do. No, Sharky. They didn't teach me how to do that in school. Honestly, like all of the 3D stuff was not something I learned in school. It's all stuff that I learned by watching like tutorials on YouTube and stuff like that. So yeah, I didn't get like a formal education in toy articulation. The way I learned how to do that is just by literally looking at the way other action figures are articulated. So if you go to ZBrush, like their YouTube channel, and look up. I'll have to look it up maybe and then send you a link on Discord. But there's a guy who worked on he worked for Hasbro or Mattel, one of those two. He worked on a lot of Star Wars stuff, and they had him on as a guest speaker for their like ZBrush Summit stuff. And he goes into a lot of detail about how he constructs his joints and stuff like that. So that could be helpful to look at, because he talks about like lots of different. He talks about material properties. He talks about tolerances for the joints, like how far things should be separated, how thick things should be. A lot of the guidelines I follow were based on some of the stuff that he was talking about. Yeah, and it's just studying, because one of the things that you'll probably figure out during your like whenever you start your project is that like some of the shapes and some of the things that you're going to be encountering are probably something that like a traditional how do I want to phrase this? They're just very unique problems that probably no one has ever articulated before. Like, for example, again, the where did I put that? Like, like the stuff with this dragon, like this neck piece, like the forms on that neck are super unique to this dragon. Like no one would have been able to help me like figure out how to generate the forms that ended up becoming like the mechanism that would solve that problem. So it's like it's a little bit of engineering. Like the objects you're making take the shape of whatever function you need it to do. So sometimes those shapes that end up being generated are kind of like the result of that. You know, it's kind of hard to describe. Like you kind of just have to take it case by case. There are like standard things, like the ball joint in the shoulder is fairly like standard. You could probably find other figures that have done that, and you can reference the way they did that before. But there's just other stuff that happens along the lines of articulating something like this that just you're kind of gonna have to go like be adaptable and kind of be willing to do a bit of trial and error to get it to work. There is another. There's this book. It's called Pop Sculpture. This guy is a traditional sculptor, but he goes into a lot of detail about how to sculpt maquettes, and then he does talk about action figures. He goes into different like types of joints, so he'll actually explain how in the traditional world how these types of joints would have been created. This is more of how David Silva actually does his, because he's still a traditional sculptor. He does everything traditionally. So this is more along the lines about how he, like you can see here, he has these diagrams. This is more like how he would probably go about doing his joints. But all this is of course is translatable into 3D, into digital stuff. So I would recommend this book if you can get it. Shouldn't be too expensive. Or maybe you can find like a PDF version. What else? I'm trying to think of what else would be helpful to you. Yeah, remind me in Discord. I'll look up that guy on ZBrush, ZBrush Summit, his like lecture, and I'll send it to you. I don't remember his name right now. I know I probably have it saved on like a playlist or something, but I can send that to you. It'll help. Yeah. Give me 1 second. Yes, that's him. That's the guy. You got it.
All right, guys.
Yeah, that's him. I was trying to click on it so I could see what his actual name was. Paul Bennett. That's his name. he has a lot of great information in there. The one thing that I took away from him is mainly the tolerances. The separation between parts is really important, especially if you want a snug fit in, like, say you're doing like a ball joint. The ball joints depend a lot on, that's probably one of the hardest joints to work out, because they depend a lot on friction. And a good ball joint it'll snap in and pop out, but it'll also provide enough friction that the part will stay where you want it to stay, without sagging or anything like that. So in terms of like engineering, that's probably one of the hardest things to do, because it's very dependent on the precision of the machine that you're the molding and casting, or like the 3D printing that you're doing. It has to do a lot with like the forces that are being applied. So like if you're using a material that's too brittle or just too weak, it's not going to stand up to the amount of force you need to push that ball joint in and still have it, stay intact. So it's like, it's probably one of the hardest joints to do, because there's just so much that needs to go into it, from like just the like engineering side of things, where you're like actually putting it into the model and making sure it fits in the forms and stuff like that, to like the tolerances, to like the material aspect of it. Not to like I'm not trying to dissuade you or anything. I'm just kind of saying like that those types of joints are going to be probably the toughest joints that you face. But they are definitely achievable. And the tolerances that he talks about in that lecture are going to help you a lot. I don't know what happened here. There's a vertex here that I don't need. And then I can just fill in the poly again. I actually did talking about ball joints, I did for just to get my tolerances dialed in, I had to do like a series of tests where I took a ball, inserted it into like a cube, and then like I would just incrementally like increase the tolerance little by little, and then I 3D print it, test it. If it was too loose, I would tighten it. If it was too tight, I would loosen it. And then I dialed it in for my printer specifically. So yeah, it's definitely an involved process, but it's super rewarding once you get everything working. Hey, hey, Bun, how's it going? What rigging do you like most, bones or puppet rigs? I use bones. I'm not really sure. I don't think I've experimented with puppet rigs. Is that like a different type of rigging? I don't think I've experimented with that before. Sounds interesting. Yeah, Sharky, like finally seeing the model in your hand and like being able to pose it and all that stuff is really cool, because I can show you one. I just got recently So the Dilophosaurus that I showed you here. I don't think I posted, maybe I didn't post the articulated version, but this is how it ended up. Let me see if I'm actually showing it to you on the camera. I can't see my, yeah. So all these joints were like, you can definitely test them out to a certain degree in 3D and make sure they're all like not intersecting. But the real test of it is actually when you 3D print them and test them against each other. So you can make sure that the range of motion you wanted is actually what is actually happening in reality. So it's been really rewarding to actually see that, you know, all the theory of like, oh, you know, this ball joint should work this way. And then you like sculpt it out and then it actually works the way you want it to work in reality is like, it's, that's like one of the best feelings, I think. Bun puppet rigs are normally used in 3D animations that are studio quality, though have seen them just use it for SFM videos. Okay. So it's more like, it sounds like it would be more like, I don't know, something like a Pixar movie would use or something like that, right? No, I haven't experimented with those kinds of rigs. I wouldn't consider myself like I'm definitely not a rigger. I make very basic rigs to like get poses for renders, just to make things look like dynamic and stuff. But I don't. I wouldn't say that I'm like an expert at that. We'll do like a very basic rig for the Puru. Just to get some cool promo, you know, and like portfolio stuff. But it probably won't go very much beyond that. I'll leave that to the animators and stuff. But that's pretty interesting. I think I'll try and look into that and see like maybe there's a way to apply some of that stuff to what I'm doing. The puppet rig stuff. Yeah, in that case, maybe I can experiment with some of that stuff on stream. We can figure out. We can see how a puppet rig works. I think I screwed up this. I need to add... Sharky, these are all painted, I'm assuming, in the factory. So I don't actually know who paints these. But they come like this. so I didn't have to paint anything. I'm actually, when it comes to like 3D models and stuff, like I'm actually pretty lazy. Like a lot of the stuff I've 3D printed isn't painted. It just takes a lot of time. So I usually don't even paint my models. They're just like gray statues on my shelf. Bims, hi. How's it going? Just gonna lurk. Okay. Yeah, that's not a problem. If you do have any questions, let me know. Okay. I'm gonna like apply the same approach to these ridges here that I did with the arm. We'll just do this same exact like treatment there. So this is interesting. It goes all the way down the foot. So all these little ridges, even all the way down here. So it's pretty extensive. So you see that scalloped sort of edge. I want to make sure that that's all taken care of. So it's a lot of stuff going on. Sometimes I kick myself for like adding so much stuff, because now I have to account for all of that stuff in the low poly. You sent me an image, Bun. Let me see. Oh, I see you. Oh, okay. So, okay. I still see the bones inside of the mesh. So what is like distinguishing this as a puppet rig rather than like a normal rig? Is it like the little like the controllers on the outside? Is that what's like what makes this different? Yeah, Sharky, no problem. See you around. Have a good day. Okay. So it's the controllers on the outside. Okay. I have seen like I've seen how to like construct those and stuff like that. So I think I understand how it's working, but yeah, I haven't done it myself. I have some friends who do a lot of rigging that I could probably ask for some advice on how to achieve some of that. I don't know. Like I said, it's probably a little bit too extensive for what I want to do with the Peru. I'm not going to be animating this guy, so, and I'm not the like rigger. But I will make like a basic rig. So we'll do something like let me see. I did some like action poses and stuff for the Eocarcharia, just for like just to make it look cool and get people excited about it. So we'll probably do something similar for the Peru. Okay. Okay. Kind of zoned in there for a second. Okay. Okay. Thanks, Bun Bun. Thanks for the info about puppet rigs. Did I forget the music? It's going. I don't know if you guys can hear it or not. Let me check. Maybe I didn't turn on. I don't know. OBS says it's picking it up. I'm not sure. Maybe it was too low. For me, it sounds like pretty loud. But maybe I need to keep it that loud so people can hear it. I don't know. Maybe maybe there's some other way to check that, like the levels. It's kind of strange that I don't hear what you hear on your end. And the weird thing too is like, it seems like with the stream that the volume doesn't stay consistent. Like I can have a value set for the music and like think that, oh, if I set the music to this value every time, it'll sound the same every time. But I don't know if that's the case. I think it's like adjusting it strangely. I don't know. Sorry if it was too low. Yeah, I don't maybe I have to learn a bit more about how OBS can control independently. I don't know. I don't know much about OBS, to be honest. Just like, it's like hit this button to stream, hit this button to record. But I can try and work stuff out if it's a problem. Bun, with the amount of dinos there currently are in the roster, do you think 20 to 40 more would be better? I don't know. That's maybe not something I can answer. That would be up to the game devs, the actual game devs, to decide, I suppose. Of course, I wouldn't mind more dinosaurs because it's more dinosaurs to model. But I don't know what that would do to the landscape of the game itself, Okay, so I think I'm pretty happy with the way this turned out here. If I can mimic this sort of structure on the leg, although it's kind of different because it transitions onto the foot itself. But we'll see how we handle that. I'm sure there's a way. Other than that, I think we're almost done with this. There's still stuff to like terminate and resolve, but I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue. And then we can move on to the UVs. And they're mostly done already. Like I have the seams marked out. I think I might need to move this one over here because I would need to accommodate the these new guys that I added right now. But other than that, I think it's mostly there. So the UVs will probably come together pretty easy. Okay. I think that's where we'll stop for today. And we'll pick up next weekend. I should be good to go next weekend. Yeah, if you guys want to check up on the Ouranosaurus, I should be streaming more Ouranosaurus stuff on Wednesday. So feel free to join me there if you guys want to check that out. That's at 6 p.m. PST. So that's later on in the day than in the morning. Other than that, I don't think I got any other announcements or anything. So, yeah, guys, thanks for joining me today. We'll keep going next weekend, and yeah, have a good weekend. Have a good day. Bye bye.